Yiting, and I'll be your host for this episode. Today, we delve deeper into the perspective of Henry and Jorelle, two of our most senior curriculum team members in our organising committee. They'll discuss their motivations behind joining NUS Product Club and also how PME has evolved over the semester, as well as their experience with our club that's provided them value in other school-related experiences such as NOC and their internships. Maybe we can start asking you about a few questions first. So because both of you are in product club, right? So maybe you can share about how did you first get to know about product management?
For me, I first learned about product management while I was on NOC. I was actually interning as a software engineer. And then one of my batchmates, one of my friends, was preparing for a product management interview. So yeah, and then I learned about it through him.
Oh, so like he introduced to you all the different aspects. Yeah, what about you, Henry?
Yeah, I think I started with like on YouTube. I remember in my feed there was like a day in my life as a PM by Chloe Shi, I remember. I think that's how a lot of people actually found out about PM. Then yeah, I watched like a day in her life and then I realized, oh, there's actually this another like low code or like no code career in tech. Then I thought, oh, that was pretty cool. And then I did more and more research, then it sounded more and more like what I wanted to do.
So like you know how like you got introduced by your friend, you found it online. So like why do you want to like try this out? Like why do you okay, I'm going to like maybe take a step in like and try it out? I
was attracted to it mostly by the opportunity to learn like about a lot of different disciplines, because product management is brings together engineering, design and business, right? And then I'm someone that like can't quite decide. So I wanted to like explore a bit more.
Oh, I see. What about you?
Yeah, I think similar to Jorelle, I quite like the interdisciplinary facade of PM. And also mainly I really enjoy like solving problems, but not in the form of engineering.
Oh.
So then I thought that was a pretty cool role, right? And you get to a large extent like get to call shots in the direction of the product team. And that was what, as a data analyst, because previously I interned as data analyst, it's something that you don't get to do. Yeah, so I quite like that autonomy over the product direction.
Yeah, that's actually something I say often in product interviews. Like problem solving, but not the engineering type of problem solving.
So it's like it's a bit related to your, like what you're learning, but at the same time you can explore other parts.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. So maybe like, what qualities do you think people need, to join a product management, or what's important to have, in a way?
I think most importantly, you need to be curious and resourceful. So curious to learn about all aspects of the product and business, and also just genuinely interested in what your product area is, and learning about, for example, competitors and what like areas your product can expand to, or like how you can improve your product, and then just resourceful in trying to make things happen.
I think I agree with what Jorelle has said, and on top of that, it also depends on the company, because different companies have very different expectations of a PM. Like some companies expect a PM to be more data inclined, able to do their own A/B testing, while some is like more technically inclined, like they're able to do system design, communicate even the architecture with the engineers. While some like maybe like Shopee's like biz PMs, so it's more about like the business sense, knowing what sticks and what doesn't with the customer side. So it also really depends on the company But some like overarching skills that I think is applies throughout. Maybe it's like product sense, is knowing at a first instinct probably what is a good idea, what isn't, and then secondly is probably technical capabilities. Even though you're not required to code. But I don't think any engineers will enjoy explaining like really easy concept to a PM over and over again. So like at least being on like some form of baseline technically to be able to interact with your engineers effectively. And then thirdly would be probably communications, because you are the middleman between so many stakeholders. The business side, marketing, the engineers, and like maybe other internal stakeholders. So it's really important to see the common ground between like different narratives and work something out, and also like make sure that things are not lost in translation at your side. Like you don't like relay the message wrongly and then it could end up in a really bad mess. Yeah.
So it's like it's not a certain or standard quality in a way.
Yeah.
They just have to have everything.
Yeah.
So maybe we can go on to the next part because both of you are in NUS Product Club, right? So maybe you can share about why you chose to be in the curriculum team.
Actually, I was debating with myself, like, should I join as a student or as a kind of TA, right? Mostly it was just a way to learn about product more formally and from experienced people already working in industry to like further grow as a PM, because like at the time where I applied, I landed my PM role, but I felt that I didn't have a strong grasp of PM fundamentals. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to learn about it and also just maybe
Explore more.
good for resume or something.
How about you, Henry?
Yeah, I think a large extent was actually resume also. I joined the club in year 1 summer, turning year 2. So then I was like still pretty green. I had some data experience here and there, but I was trying to pivot into product. So that was also when like the first batch of product club started recruitment. Then I saw like all the marketing materials like being plastered on Telegram chats, like NUS Telegram chats. And then I saw like the description lah. So then there was like, I think there was pubs, there was ops, and like some other comms that I couldn't remember. But I didn't have much like related experience. Then curriculum was the one that sounded like it was most related to like PM itself instead of like supporting functions. So then I thought if I wanted to get a good like resume boost and really learn some meat of product management, right, it's probably like curriculum is the place for me lah. Yeah.
I see. So basically you're just want to learn more and because you're just starting to explore more about PM at that time, right?
Yeah.
So maybe like what are your main responsibilities in like doing curriculum?
I think mainly we help to prepare materials for classes, and I think in the newer iterations, every CE is tasked with, I think, teaching at least one class. Is that correct? And you're like a kind of TA for one group. So
Teacher in a
small
way.
mentor to like kind of
To guide them
mentor
through.
for student mentor for a small group of students. Yeah, just help them.
So yours is also the same as him, right?
I'm actually the co-head of curriculums. So for me, it's a little bit different. So in my first year, I was just like Jorelle. Then in the second year, I stayed on as the co-head. So it's more of like overseeing things and planning, like a bit cringe, but the product roadmap of curriculum itself. So yeah, we did like the call to do like PME for first sem and do workshops only for the second sem. So it was a close collaboration between me, Claire, and Josh, the other co-head, and also overseeing the execution of each workshop and also PME lah. So for workshop, because I was in the club the year before, so I had some experience running those workshops myself. So then I will share with them my experience, how did we do it, what did we do good, what could be improved, and yeah, just making sure that things are on track.
I see. So is there any like interesting topics that you came across that you want to share with people?
I think one topic that actually is useful even in my work right now was the lesson of metrics, which I was also in charge of teaching. So I remember they call it the pirate framework, like R, like acquisition, attention, acquisition, activation, then retention, revenue, and then referral. So those are frameworks and that help me to guide my thinking at work also, and like help me to think about what the next step for the product or like for what I should be doing at work is also. Yeah, so that was very helpful.
For me, I think it would be the user interview lesson. So in my current role now, because my team mainly build a lot of like POC, so then there's a lot of like user interview and exploring the problem space. So I think like because user interview is really something that you don't learn in school. There's nothing even like close to it. Like, there's no parallel.
Design thinking. Right?
Yeah, maybe like
design thinking is the closest thing.
Yeah, that's the closest already. So then like so that the only other exposure was like in PME lah. Like it's not really like the questions per se, but like the underlying like fundamentals of like why you ask certain questions or why is it not good to ask like leading questions, right? So those really stuck on with me, and in like my current role now, it's really very beneficial lah. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's great. So maybe we move on to another question. Is that how is PME for both of you?
It was just a really good learning experience, and then also a chance to make friends with some like-minded people. And also the opportunity to interact with Jason is very valuable also actually, because he has like vast experience, and we learn we learn a lot from interacting with him. I think maybe even more as a curriculum executive than as a student. Yeah.
When I joined, it was like the first ever batch. There was no senior to ask how it is, or there's just not no benchmark for what to expect. So then we went in with really zero expectations. So back then it was still hosted at Shopback's HQ. Yeah, and I think what Jorelle mentioned is really the chance to interact with the PMs. I think the curriculum executive had the most unrestricted access to them. So back then it was Jason, Hazel, and Isaac. Shout out to them because after I landed my first role in PM, actually I approached both Isaac and Jason for a mentorship, and then they were very generous with their time So if not for as a curriculum executive, probably wouldn't have be able to build that rapport with them. So yeah, I think my takeaway from PME was it was really fruitful and rewarding. Yeah.
Actually, for Henry, what was your first iteration of PME at Shopback?
Yeah, like I mentioned, because we didn't really have a lot of we had nothing to fall back on really. So I remember timeline was really short. The curriculum executive, the old comms got recruited in, and then we immediately started recruiting the participants for PME. While we were recruiting them, actually the syllabus per se wasn't even firmed up yet. So we didn't even know what to expect ourselves. So everything was in a mad rush. So yeah, it was a lot of rush, but we put it off, I think. I think the participants were really happy with it, and the instructors were quite impressed also, how we managed to pull it off on such tight timelines and no seniors to guide us. So I think it was pretty good.
I see. Okay, maybe for Jorelle, what were the key improvements made to the latest iteration?
I didn't experience the prior iterations, but I think one key improvement that was made was that curriculum executives are now tasked with, given the responsibility of doing part of the lessons, which is very helpful and also very beneficial for learning, not just for the students but also for the teachers, right? And also, I think we learned from mistakes or areas for improvement from the previous batches, and then the time management for some aspects was a lot better.
I see. How do you think PME can be improved from a perspective, if you have anything to say?
So do you want to go first?
I think it's not really a point it can't be helped but there's no way to prepare for PM until you're actually in the role itself. You can learn all the theory, you can learn you need to communicate well, but there is no learning until you really deal with a difficult stakeholder to manage, for example. So I am not sure if this is something that can be helped, but I think some practical experience will be really beneficial.
I think I would have appreciated a small segment that's more targeted on how to ace product management interviews, right? Because the actual job of being a PM is very different at every role and in every company. Just getting your foot through the door is what students need the most help with. So advice that's more targeted to helping to break through the interview rounds might be useful.
The key things to take note of.
Yeah, but actually even in the current iteration it really does help a lot, I think. The frameworks that are being taught are useful, and then being able to say that, for example, in our iteration we came up, each group has to come up with a feature and then go through this whole process. And then if you're able to talk about your process well during your interview, I think it really gives you an advantage over other candidates. So yeah, actually I'm not sure.
Because they kind of know what is going on a little bit already
and so through your half a sem with PME, you already work a little bit as a PM to prepare for your pitch, right? So yeah, that tiny experience maybe gives you an advantage over other candidates.
Okay,
so,
I see.
Yeah.
Maybe move on to the next part that's about NOC. So I heard that both actually went for NOC, right? So maybe each of you can give a brief introduction about your NOC.
I went to NOC Paris in the second batch of NOC Paris in 2023. Yeah, I worked as a software intern for this company called Parametrics, which is a fintech company, you can think of it. Yeah.
Yeah, then for me, I went to NOC Munich in summer of 2024. Then I worked as a software engineer intern with a company called Redrink. So they are like a bottleless beverage solution.
Maybe why do you all like choose the country?
I'm not to be very superficial, but yeah, I just really enjoy Europe. So yeah, outside of classes, I'm a fencer. So I've been to Europe for competitions, and then I just thought like this is an opportunity to both fulfill my like internship requirements and explore Europe, which was something I wanted to do. I think maybe a better way to ask this question is like, why not the other options, right? Why not SV? Why not? So really the first reason is because I didn't know if I wanted to commit for a full year. Europe programs except for Stockholm are 6 months. Yeah, and also just an interest in France in general actually.
Yeah, I think for me it was also quite a practical consideration. So I didn't want to do 1 year, so then straight away the Americas were out of the equation already. Then I did do a prior like overseas internship already, like in Bangkok. So then staying in Asia wasn't like that attractive either. So then like we're left with Europe, right? But basically I realized that Munich is like in the heart of Europe, so it was pretty easy to travel. Like because you're at the center, wherever you go is like probably within 3-hour radius. So then yeah, I just locked into Munich lah.
So how was like the overall experience for both of you? Like how would you rate it? Like anything to like share
For
more
me,
about?
I definitely enjoyment wise max. I really enjoyed my time in Paris. Coming from Singapore, you definitely feel like it's a really chill culture. Yeah, I barely worked for 2 weeks before like it was like this month long, more than 6 weeks, 7 week long vacation season for the French people. Yeah, like Paris is empty because everybody is elsewhere on holiday. My internship period overlaps with Christmas, right? And then Christmas is big in Europe. So yeah, so there's
Another long holiday
there's also
again.
a long holiday at the front and at the back. Learning wise, I did feel like it left quite a lot to be desired. But I did learn a lot about like French working culture. Yeah, and many difficulties. I learned about startups basically, like the difficulties that super early stage startups face. Like for context, my company was super small, like one CEO and then 2 or 3 other people working remotely, and then me, and then we just work from a WeWork. We don't have an office, so yeah, super lean, I guess you can say. Super duper lean. At a super early stage startup like that, you learn a lot about startups.
I think I second what Jorelle mentioned about like, okay, let me just put it this way. If it's purely about like career development and nothing else, probably NOC Europe destinations are not as good as the Americas, like maybe SV or New York. Yeah, but then, I mean, career development is not the only thing you look out for like when doing NOC, right? So from like other aspects, it's like life, I guess. Because in Singapore, maybe everyone from primary school until uni, everyone is somewhat working after the same goal, right? There's not much variety going on. So going to Europe makes you realize that there's actually many ways to living, and you can still be happy, right? Like,
You're not optimizing for career goals or like some kind of development, but like more holistic, like enriching your life kind of point of view.
Yeah.
And I think Europe can be a good choice because I think Europeans bring a lot of different perspectives that might be unfamiliar to people like us who live in Singapore like our whole lives. I think maybe culture-wise, they are more different and unfamiliar than America. I feel like currently working at an American company, American company wasn't so super surprising to me as compared to my experience in France. Possibly because a lot of the media that we consume is American, and the companies that we know of are American. And that's why like the kind of companies and office cultures that we are aware of and familiar with are all American. Yeah, going to NOC Europe in a way is a once in a lifetime opportunity to experience Europe in that way, meet a lot of other European people and then learn about Europe.
But disclaimer, mine wasn't that chill. I didn't get a 6 weeks holiday at the start and at the end.
Yeah.
I think Germany is probably one of the hardest working country in Europe. Really. So if people are looking to apply NOC Europe and you want a super chill one, maybe Germany is not the best place lah. Yeah, I heard like Norway is pretty chill as well, and Paris is probably pretty chill as well. Yeah. Then to add on to Munich, it's like Yeah, it's a good place to travel, but it's not a very good place to like. It's a great place to live as well, but there's not much like sightseeing to do lah. Like in the Alps region around Europe, right? Everything closes on Sundays. Everything closes. Even like your supermarket closes. So then people are just out there hiking in the Alps. So then like for a Singaporean who like just wants to like shop or like do whatever commercial activities on weekend, it's very foreign to us lah. Like there's nothing to buy. There's nothing to there's just nothing to buy, nothing to watch. You just go and climb mountain lah. Yeah, I think it's very good lah if you want to chill, I guess. Yeah, because like Munich, like the locals literally call it a big village, like big kampong lah. So yeah, that was the experience. Yeah. But overall, if you ask me to like conclude it, I would say that it's very good for personal development. I think we both got to work in probably pretty diverse teams, right? I don't know about your case lah. But for mine, it's like my boss is like one German, one Austrian, one Italian, and one American German. Yeah. So like all of them have like their own quirks lah. Like the Germans will be the ones that are like not that smiley. Like some days you walk in and then you see the German boss like really pissed off, and then you'll be like, oh, what's up? But actually it's just a typical German. While the Italian like to chit chat a bit before you talk about work. So then before you like talk to him about work, you need to prep like 5 minutes of small talk, I guess. Like think like, oh, okay, what will you share, right? What was interesting over the weekend? So yeah, I think for personal development, I think it's definitely great. Yeah.
So maybe like you all talk a lot about like the culture of the country. Is there anything you want to add for like the culture of your workplace?
It was really, really unstructured. So the pros of this are that you learn to do a lot of things by yourself. But then the downsides are that you don't benefit from the experience of people who have been working for a long time. Yeah, so I felt that it leaned too much towards the unstructured end. Yeah, there wasn't like someone supposedly reliable that I could like turn to for help and to learn more about stuff. So maybe it wasn't right for me at like that stage in my career, because I just finished year 2 in uni, and then it was only my second internship. I don't think I brought enough experience to the table to be able to contribute that much on my own.
Yeah, I actually agree. Like I think the common theme for like NOC Europe startups, right, it's like super small startup. I like in Silicon Valley or like New York, you see them like interning in maybe like Series B startups, and they are quite mature already. So most of us like go into like really unstructured setups. I'm the second person who writes code in the team. Yeah, and I didn't know software engineering. Like I got brought in as a data guy, and then like on first day of work, my boss is like, okay, a requirement change. Now you need to code. You're a software engineer. Then it was like a mad struggle at the start. Yeah, like learning to code like in maybe like CS 2040 or like CS like, I don't know 1010 or something. It's very different. Yeah, like you are just doing like front end, back end, middle, everything, and there was no one to ask help from. Like, cause my boss is the only other guy who writes code. Is really super busy, and like he went away for holiday on my like I think 3rd week as well. So then I was like figuring out things on my own already lah. Yeah, it was a lot of like calling my friends. I even had to call my ex-boss, like my ex-CTO to like help me out with some like setting up of things. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So if you are the kind who enjoy like learning how to swim by just jumping into the ocean and struggle, then sure. But then if you like if you like some form of like mentorship or structure, right, then especially the NOC Europe software experience maybe is not the best thing.
And also maybe we could frame this as a positive, like the opportunity to try things that you haven't done before.
For sure.
Like I mean, in a more established company with access to a wider pool of talent, then data analysts wouldn't be able to dabble in software engineering, right? And then in my case, I was able to dabble in product while interning in Paris. So that was helpful for like my subsequently when I applied to PM roles, I could say like, I for part of my internship in Paris, I was a product manager. So so in that sense, it was helpful.
Okay, so maybe like, is there any tips for like future students that are going there, and any specific place you want to recommend to them for like your respective countries?
Oh, like places, for example, for me, places in Paris
or like
in France.
Any like recommendations when applying for NOC Paris also, in a way?
Suggestion I will have is to learn some French before you go, because I think like learning a little bit of their language helps you to integrate a lot better, and allows you to make the most of your experience there. And then in terms of places, there was this place in France I really like, called Mont Saint Michel. Have you been? This place called Mont Saint Michel that I think all people go to France should visit.
I think for me, let's start with application lah. So I think NOC is kind of infamous for its pretty cutthroat interviews.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not true like across the board because personally I had a pretty pleasant time like interviewing for it. I didn't get any of like the infamous interviewers lah. So yeah, but I mean if I really had to give some tips, it's like I guess be prepared. Like actually there's a few questions that for sure they will ask you one, like why NOC, why you, why this like selection of locations. So you already know like those recurring themes, then just prepare for it. Like hell, even write a script for it if you need, right? But don't come off as too robotic lah. There's actually a lot of like help or like cheat sheet online if you search hard enough. Like there were some like ex-applicants who like write a whole question bank. I actually prepared like based on that also. Yeah, so then that's the interview phase lah. And also I think be genuine lah. Don't come off as too try hard also. Yeah, maybe that scares the interviewer off. Yeah, then for the internship experience itself, definitely in Europe, right? Pick up like the language, at least basic lah. For me, I took German 1 before going. Didn't really help. Like I mean like German 1 doesn't prepare you for anything lah. But still like at least you know like words here and there. And I was quite blessed that like a pretty close friend of mine was like fully fluent in like German. So then when we hung out over there, when we needed to speak to locals, he could settle everything lah. So maybe another tip would be like, don't hang out too much with like other Singaporeans. Not because like it's not. I mean not any like bad blood or anything. It's just purely because like you have this very rare opportunity to immerse 6 months overseas, right? Then make full use of it. I see a lot of like my friends, especially those on exchange program, they spend like a whole sem touring around like the continent or the country they're in with like other Singaporean SCP. And then at the end of the experience, like when you ask them like, so how was it? Like they only tell you through the lens of like a tourist maybe. I do not have much appreciation of like what's really over there. So then for like my group, we were quite lucky because we stayed in like a co-living place above startup incubator. So all of my neighbors, right, were either startup founders or like early workers of like the startups. So all of them are involved in the startup scene somehow, and they were all a pretty vibrant community and quite expat-ish lah. So not many locals per se. So like we could still use English and make very like good friendship. So then it was those experiences like hang out with the locals. I mean not really locals because they're expats but like hanging out with like people outside of like the Singaporean bubble. That maybe really helps you grow, hear different perspective, and even networking lah. Have maybe lowang for like internships because I know a few startup founders, and startup founders or CEOs, and also like guys like ex-neighbors who like moved around like Europe and Germany in my stay there. So then if I ever want to go back, there's always like a guide in like cities. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
Next part is about your product internship. So maybe you can explain why you both chose like own respective companies.
For me, I'm working at Workato right now. I guess the best way to describe what we do is we're an enterprise automation. Although that's not like the official like way we market ourselves, but I think that's the most layman way. And then I'm in the product-led growth team. So Workato is pretty high up my list when I applied because heard a lot of good things about Workato from friends who have worked there, and also and it's also a NOC partner company, I think, in Silicon Valley. So I heard some good things about it. I thought it would be an opportunity to learn a lot.
For me, I'm interning now with GovTech. So I think because my experience like went from like banking, e-commerce, startup. So then like I kind of have like quite a lot of experience, a little bit of experience in a little bit of everything really. So then it seems like probably tech for public good is like the last unexplored realm. Yeah. So then when I saw the listing open up, I actually applied for it while I was on NOC lah. Then I saw the listing open and then I decided to give it a shot lah. So right now I would say yeah, it's definitely a super rewarding experience because we deal with a lot of things that definitely in the private sector you will not get to work on one. Yeah.
Maybe is there any memorable events or activities like that you want to share?
For me, this came quite early in my internship in Workato, so it came as quite a surprise to me. But I was given the opportunity to attend the offsite last August. Yeah, last August I think. Yeah, and it was so they flew like all the interns, all the staff to San Francisco. Yeah, that was super memorable. And then yeah, everything, full expenses paid. Yeah, very memorable. And also you get to meet like because Workato is very international, right? With people like in Europe, in all across the US, a lot of Eastern Europe, in India, and also in Singapore of course. And yeah, getting to meet everyone and learn about what everyone does, it was very interesting.
I mean, I'm fairly new into GovTech. It's like my third month now. So probably the most memorable one is like the Build Hackathon. It was like a 5 weeks hackathon that just ended last Friday actually. So then, yeah, I mean, it's first time participating in like a company-wide hackathon. We only ever like joined student hackathons, right? So this was very different because in student hackathons, probably like 72 hours or 48 hours, you don't sleep, you don't shower, you just code. But this one was like stretched across 5 weeks, and there was a lot of emphasis on like, we don't want prototype, we want like already deployable stuff. So then, yeah, like you really get to go and talk to the business holders, the problem owners, the business owners, yeah. Then you talk to them, understand what is the problem. Because like this is a very rare opportunity where in a job, right, you can like take a step back from your day-to-day business as usual like projects to work on things that we are passionate about, but normally you don't have bandwidth to do. So then, yeah, that was pretty interesting. And then on finale day, there was a lot of like super high-ranking judges walking around, like PermSec, ministers. Yeah, so then it was pretty interesting experience to like pitch in front of them.
So what did you build?
Well, like we built like two like AI products lah. One like basically Copilot for both PowerPoint and Excel. So like you see, this is an interesting use case. Like if you are like another private company, right, you just buy the license. But then for government, right, there's a lot of stuff that's like restricted or classified information. So then we cannot just buy the licensing from like private. So then we have to like have some form of like internal tooling lah. So then that was like quite interesting and something that only really truly in government then you can have a opportunity to work on. Yeah.
Maybe lastly, I want to give some advice to like the juniors and those people who are going to apply for like product internship.
Personally, I found that actually preparing for consulting internships is actually pretty similar in some ways to product internships. Like in consulting, you always learn you learn some frameworks on how to break down a problem and answer a question. Like similarly in product interviews, like I think most of the time the content of what you answer is and whether your answer is correct or what they want is not really important. They're interested in how you break down a problem. So yeah, this aspect is really similar to it's most similar to consulting. So yeah, the most available resources for preparing for product interviews, in my opinion, are actually consulting resources. So there's actually a lot of resources available for consulting, those people grinding to join like McKinsey. Some of these skills and thought processes apply for product interviews as well.
Yeah, I think I second that because product case interview is like super important and that is like highly similar to like consulting. Yeah. So product case interview for sure, if you are interviewing with a company that is worth their salt, they confirm will throw at you one. So it's very useful to do some research on that. And then secondly would also be, I think like typical general stuff is like having an understanding of like what the company does, especially if it's a startup. Or like if in a big company, like the team you probably know, like go and reach out to seniors or like mutuals who are at least like in the company or at least are aware of what that team is working on. So then you can like share that in the interview that, oh yeah, I know you guys are working on this, like, maybe I have these relevant skills or relevant experience. I demonstrate that at least you care, right? So I think that is super important.
You do your homework.
Just really do your homework. I mean, for me, I take it a bit more extreme, is that I would go to the length of like checking who is my interviewer, and then check his LinkedIn, because if you are interviewing with like senior product leaders, right, chances are is that they are quite vocal on LinkedIn, one.
Oh, I did the same thing.
Yeah. It's like really doing your homework. It's not like it's not try hard, It's like really you want to know what they're working on, because that is highly likely what you're going to be working on when you're working with them, right? So you want to show that at least you're interested and you care. So go and check their LinkedIn page, and they'll probably be talking about the project they are like working on now. So be educated about that as well. And I mean, there's it's actually the whole like interviewing process is been quite decrypted online already. There's like the very famous book called How to Crack the PM Interviews, I think. Like there's a whole ass Bible that you should just, not to say you must read, but at least like go online, get some summary of the key pointers. Those are super useful. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe to end off, I can ask you a final question, is that what is your favorite product and why?
This is a very classic product interview question. The answer I normally give is Google Maps. Google Maps is my favorite product because it brings together a very complex like technical problem, right? And then very intuitive design, and also a very elegant business use case. Like it's free for all users, but at the same time, it makes money for Google, and then it creates a win-win-win scenario all around for users, businesses, and Google, the service provider. So my answer for this is always Google Maps. Also because it's something I use very, very often. And with Google Maps, you're not afraid of like being lost in a foreign country most of the time, unless it's like China. But for me, it's really revolutionary.
Yeah. For me, it's probably YouTube. Like that's always my answer, even in like interviews. So the reason is being like it's a very long-standing product that's able to keep pivoting itself to still stay relevant after so many years. So I don't know if you guys still remember, but YouTube started off as like a American home funny video platform, whereby like they just post like people are walking around like a VCR or a camcorder and just like taping like interesting things at home in like 144p. So it started off as that. So then they managed to find out a way to monetize everything. That was when it was the era of like all those really big YouTubers popping up, like Smosh or Nigahiga. Then they even had those like offline events, like I think they call it YouTube Con or something, whereby like they even had it in Singapore as well, where it's like it's really big event. So it was like one of the first time internet ever like creeped into real life per se, right? So then they were able to write on that, and people were able to make a whole career of being a YouTuber. So then they pivoted. Then after that, when like short content started coming in, you also see them like playing around with like YouTube Shorts and all that. So like in just like our very short life, we have already seen so many digital products come and go. Like for example, Snapchat, and even Facebook. No, I don't think anyone from our age group in Singapore uses it anymore, right? But then YouTube is the one that keeps pivoting to new trend. Sometimes they are the trendsetters themselves for the industry, and they are still relevant after like 15 years or near 20 years already. And that is really like a testament that not many, even like unicorns or ex-unicorns, can live up to lah. So YouTube is my answer.
Okay, maybe the real final last question is any words like for the audience?
Who is the audience actually?
Okay, if you want to find out more about product management, of course start with like Google and YouTube. So that's a very good place to start. Then if you want to find out more, you can read like the book called Inspired, written by Marty Kagan. That is like the true Bible for product management. So that is number one. And then how to crack PM interviews, that's number two probably. Then if you want to find out more, you probably can like if you're an NUS student, you can join Product Club in the coming AY. It's honestly a pretty good community we built up here. Like everyone is more or less pretty forthcoming and willing to share. So join Product Club. And if you still have any questions, I guess you can reach out to either one of us. Then you can just search our names on LinkedIn can get in contact with us. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in into this episode of Lorong Product. Remember to click here to watch the video and follow our socials. Thank you.